had a lot of requests by subscribers to do a shop tour, and I've had a pretty busy week. I finally got that table finished up and delivered yesterday, and I spent the better half of the week really doing a shop cleanup because this place was a mess. So we'll do a little shop tour today and give you all a little insight on what it looks like in here and a lot of the tools that I use every day. As you come through the front door to the left right here, I got my little catch-all stand, and that's pretty much just got my radio on it and my cordless tools at the very bottom with my batteries. I got my clamps right there in the corner and one of my Festool tracks. Right beside of it I got all my Festools. And what I have in there, I got the track saw, the router, and the domino. Now right here in front of my window I have my workbench, and this is a pretty cheap model. I picked it up used several years ago. I need to build me a proper one. I actually have the wood here to build it with. It's just something I've not got around to doing yet. Now right here in the floor beside it, I have my planer, and I use a rigid planer, benchtop model. And right beside that, I have my Mox and Vise, which is got the hardware I got from Benchcrafted, and the actual wood that's used on it is maple. Over here beside my workbench I have my Festool MFT table. If you're familiar with Festool, you use that table right there pretty much to use your track saw or your router, or it's pretty much just a big clamp. And over here behind the MFT table I got my sink. That's one good thing I loved about this workshop when we bought this house about 3 years ago, is it had a wood stove in it, it was insulated. It had water and it had electricity. I'm pretty much just going around a circle here and showing what all I got. This is an old schoolhouse desk that was in this shop when we bought the house. It was the only thing in it. And I've been meaning to get rid of it because it takes up a bunch of floor room. That's just something I've not done yet. But a lot of my current projects, it's become a catch-all to hold the wood on what I'm getting ready to work on. And on top of it there, you'll see I got some yellow pine. And below that yellow pine I got some 4/4 white oak. Right here is my table saw, and I don't use the table saw very much at all. I use that Festool track saw for about everything. But I do use it for ripping long stock when I have to rip down boards. It does a good job. This is an older model. Get the camera around here. It's a Delta. I bought it used about 2 or 3 years ago. I need to get me a new one day, but fence on this one is pretty accurate to be this old, but it's not a bad saw. And you notice the tool clutter on top of it. Well, that is all my timber framing tools. Most of it's tools made by John Neiman, and some of it is some Peter Sorby in there. I got my John Neiman corner chisel, my big John Neiman slick. I've also got the John Neiman wooden mallet. It's made out of elm, I believe. I've got a Grandfer axe back there that I use a lot. This is another John Neiman. It's a 2-inch timber framing chisel right there. That thing is massive. But the reason I got all this stuff out is I was trying to figure out a proper place to put it, because I didn't have a lot of room in my tool chest, and I've had them in pretty much just in my cabinets. And I decided to build me a little toolbox for these tools. And you talk about quality tools, John Neiman is where it's at right here. Check out of course they all come with these nice handmade leather sheets. And check out the polish on that and the finish. Now, this is the chair maker's draw knife, and it was actually designed by Greg Pennington, who's a chair maker down in Nashville. And you can see that I've used this a lot. I've sharpened it several times after using it. And it still has kept on that mirror polish on the back. That's how it came. Very nice tools. Here the next week or so I'm going to start building this little tool chest for these tools. And it's called the Viking style tool chest. I went back and forth on whether to build a timber frame tool tote or the Viking style chest. I'm going to go with the Viking style one because I think it looks a lot better and gives more protection and keeps the dusting off these tools, and it won't rust as fast. I'll put a little picture up showing you the design I'm thinking about. So if you guys want to see me build that tool chest next week and let's start that whole process, then leave me a comment below and I will video that as well. Here's something I skipped. In these drawers, I got stuff in every one of these drawers below my desk. And most important stuff is this top drawer here. It contains all my sharpening stones. Back here in the corner, I have my little miter saw station. That's a DeWalt miter saw. And I'm not sure what the model is, I can't remember, but that's the largest miter saw that DeWalt makes. It handles a very large piece of wood, up to 16 inches wide. And right here in the middle I have my wood stove, and this thing generates a ton of heat in here. This shop is about 480 square feet total, and on a cold day this little wood stove will run you out of here. Right here I have my wall of cabinets, and that's pretty much just got a lot of supplies on it. It's got my earplugs, my rust oils, some of my marking gauges, my sandpapers, and much. And right there is a working timber framing boring machine. And that one was restored. I bought it several years ago, and it works just fine. We'll be using that on the drying shed when I ever get to start building that thing. Doing a little up close shot of the boring machine. And, right in front of it I have all my hand saws. Those are mostly Diston hand saws, and they've all been restored. These are not antiques that you would hang on a wall. These are usable saws. I get these from Bob Gary up north. When I say up north, I live in Tennessee, so I'm usually talking about New England. And he restores these saws and puts all these custom mahogany sheets on them. And he's resharpened and set all the teeth. And he's also redone all the metal and the handles, and those things are ready to go. About cut my thumb right there. That'd have been a nice woodwright shop scene. Roy's always getting tools out and cutting himself and bleeding on everything. And over here in the corner I have a tall shelf which got a lot of screws and nuts and bolts and a lot of hardware on it. On the very bottom I have some old cast iron hardware. I got some hay trolleys in there, some old cast iron vents that I picked up over the years. Right beside it I got some Eastern Red Cedar lumber. There beside the cedar I got a Makita router in that white box. That's about a 3 horsepower model. That's what I'm going to be using for my little CNC router machine I'm going to be putting together for the slabs. And right beside that I have a large box of old wooden hand planes that have been restored. I'm not even have to open that up yet. I've had those in here for probably a year. And I'll probably do a little video on unboxing those, because there's some very unique wooden hand planes in there that I got from Bob that I think were pretty interesting. People will like to see those. Now right here I got my Rikon bandsaw. Right here beside it I have my Grizzly, and this is a 6-inch jointer. Beside the jointer I have my dust collection, and that's the Harbor Freight model. And that's one of the best things that Harbor Freight probably makes is the dust collector. They're inexpensive and it works fantastic. This is a side view right behind where I have my dust collector and my jointer, and that's my lumber rack, and it's on the casters. It rolls out. And then this is my most used shop tool. This is my tool chest. I based this off the Christopher Swartz Anarchist tool chest book that he wrote. And I built this about 2 years ago, and it's probably the most used tool in here because it holds all my hand tools. I could probably do a whole video just on all the tools that are in here, and maybe I should. I don't know. I don't have time today, but that's something to think about in the future. But this chest holds all my most used hand tools right here. What I'll do, I'll try to get back out here before the weekend's over and do a separate video just on all the tools that I have in this chest and show you the tills and everything, how I kind of have everything placed in here. Because I need to get a lot of things out and do some rust preventative anyways on them. So that's what we'll do. We'll just do a full video just on this tool chest alone and the contents of it.